Hello, my name's Mel, welcome to my world, and for those of you that are new to my channel, I live full time in this Mercedes-Benz camper van, and today's Wednesday, so this is Waffle on a Wednesday, where I answer your questions to the best of my ability. And this week we're going to talk about camper van insurance, because that's one question I get asked quite often, and up until now I've kind of avoided answering that question because I personally haven't come across the insurance company that I'm entirely happy with. But it just so happens I've just got my van insured, so let's take a look at some of those questions and I'll do my best to answer them. Hey Mel, love your waffles on a Wednesday. I have a Grizzly recently installed. Wondered if you can share how you empty the ashes. Do you have a car vac? Please tell. Also, who do you insure your van with, please? Gratitude in advance. And that comes from Suzanne Fossey. Well, Susan, we'll talk about my cubic mini wood stove in just a moment. First, I'd like to read out another question which also concerns insurance, and that comes from Karen Hassan. Hi Mel, just a quick question. As we all know, you love a quick question. Yes, we do, Karen, we love a quick question. Could you tell us what motorhome insurance company you managed to insure your van with? Love the channel, keep it up. Love all the treasure hunting, thanks Kaz and Nat. So to answer Kaz, Nat and Suzanne Fosley's question, I've just insured my camper van with Sterling Insurance, and there are several reasons I chose Sterling Insurance, and one of those is they do an agreed valuation. So we talked about my van, what I think it's worth, and they agreed that value, and also they insure the contents of my van, which was a real big factor for me because I do have quite valuable contents in my van, i.e. my camera, my laptop that I use for editing, all my scuba diving gear, my metal detecting equipment, the list goes on. So having contents insurance in my van was very important for me, and to have agreed valuation was the cherry on the cake. And they also offer breakdown recovery as well within the policy, including key fob replacement. Imagine if I had that policy when my key fob stopped working. I probably could have saved a pretty penny. And the list of benefits go on. I couldn't believe what they offer. They offer windscreen cover as well, and on top of all that they offer 90 days European cover as well, and also they assure me their claims line is open 24/7. So it was a no-brainer for me anyway to use Sterling Insurance. And the guy that I spoke to on the phone was really helpful, really friendly, and didn't rush me at all. He was an absolute pleasure to deal with, and for that reason I have no hesitation in recommending Sterling Insurance. Oh, and as a side note, they also do short-term insurance, so if you only want to insure your camper van motorhome for the summer, then they will do that as well. So there you go, Sterling Insurance. Fantastic as far as I'm concerned. I will leave a link in the description to their website just for your convenience. Just remember to let them know that I sent you there, just in case. I hope that answers that question. Right, so let's get back to Susan Fosley's question, which was about my cubic mini wood stove. It is a wood burner, and because it's a wood burner, you don't have to actually empty the ashes out every day like you would do a coal burning stove, because the ashes inside a wood burning stove actually act as an insulation barrier, and as it burns, the ash actually disintegrates and goes up the chimney and disperses in a natural way. So for that reason, you don't actually have to empty the ashtray that often. I actually emptied my ashtray, I think, twice during the winter, and the third time I emptied it was when I cleaned it out for the spring. Cubic mini wood stoves are fantastic, and I'm pleased to hear you got the Grizzly and not the Cub that I've got. My Cub is a little bit too small, I think. I kind of wish I'd got the Grizzly, and I think if ever I do an upgrade, I will definitely get the Grizzly rather than the Cub, purely because you can get more wood in it and it burns for longer. And again, thanks for the great question. Now, John Penn asked a really valid question about my Wi-Fi router, and I quote, "Hi Mel, interesting video. You didn't mention how you keep the unit powered." Fair point, John, I really do apologise. You're absolutely right. Throughout that video, at no point did I mention how I actually power the unit. My bad, and I do apologise, and thanks for the great question. Do you just run it from 12-volt battery, or does it go in via an inverter, as I'm looking for a router that I can just power off of 12-volt? Thanks for any info you can provide. Well John, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll show you my router and I'll show you exactly how it's powered. It's actually got an inbuilt battery and it's powered by USB. There it is up there. So this is my Netgear router, and I simply plug it into my charging station here via a USB plug. It's absolutely ideal for living in a camper van or motorhome or RV. And like I say, it does actually have its own battery. If I press the button here, you can see the battery is fully charged. Is the camera picking that up? Let me just zoom you in a bit. There we go. Oh, terrible camera work. There you are. As you can see, the battery monitor is saying it's fully charged here by this green bar. But anyway, what I normally do is just simply leave this plugged in all the time. And the nice thing is, I can actually unplug that and take it with me. Oh, let me just zoom you out again. Like I was saying, the nice thing about this Netgear is it will actually come out of the cradle. Although I've plugged it into the aerial on my roof, you don't need the aerial. You can actually unplug this and take it down to the beach with you if you wanted to, if you wanted Wi-Fi on the beach for whatever reason. Can't see why you would want to, but anyway, for me personally, I just leave it up there and I leave it plugged in all the time, even though they recommend you don't, because it can actually destroy the battery. And I've had that for pretty much a year now and it's still going tickety boo, so I'm happy with that. And for those of you that haven't seen the video about my router, I shall leave a link to that video up here for your viewing pleasure. I hope you enjoy. Once again, thanks for the great question, John. Now, on last week's Waffle on a Wednesday, I addressed the issue whether or not I would have power packs underneath my bed if it wasn't for the fact that they were gifted to me by the companies to do video reviews on. And I simply answered that question by saying no, I would not have those power packs if it wasn't for the fact they were actually gifted to me. I would not have actually gone out and brought those power packs, but I didn't explain why that was. And the simple reason for that is because I have got the confidence to do all the wiring in my van myself. And I truly believe that those power packs are great for people that haven't got the confidence to do their own wiring. That's where they come into their own. And the next two questions I'm going to read out kind of touch on that subject. Very good questions, so I will readdress this. So I'll read out the first of these questions. Hi Mel, maybe a quick question. My partner is hoping to build a van in the next year and she has been looking at thousands of builds as we do. This is again power related. She won't be living in the van, just days and weeks away on holiday. She is thinking of buying 2 kilowatt power pack to run everything, to save installing an MPPT controller, DC to DC and batteries, etc. That way, just having a solar panel on the roof. Good idea or bad idea? Cheers, Medway Mick. And the next question also addresses the same subject. Hi Mel, really enjoy your videos as they are full of answers to questions, some of which I did not know the answers to myself. Regarding leisure batteries and Jackery, would you recommend adding more leisure batteries to the solar panel system, or do as you do and get a Jackery extension on the same subject? Could you charge your Jackery directly from your existing solar panels on the roof? And that comes from Manon. Well, first of all, yes, you can most definitely charge your Jackery from the solar panels on your roof. And I touched on that in last week's Waffle on a Wednesday. But it sounds to me, Manon, like you've already got your own system installed and you just want to expand your current battery capacity, and that is really simple to do. You can actually add more leisure batteries to your existing battery bank as long as your existing battery bank is no more than 1 year old. And I was told this by a leading battery supplier. But now getting back to Medway Mick's question, if you are like Medway Mick's partner and you're not confident about doing all the wiring in your van, then if you want to extend your battery capacity, then getting a power pack is an ideal solution, and that's what I'm using my power packs for. They are actually an extension of my existing battery bank, and all my 240 volt supply comes from those power packs. But like I said earlier, if it wasn't for the fact those power packs were gifted to me, I probably would have just fitted an inverter and that would have worked just as well. But again, that is because I am confident in doing my own DIY electrical system within my van. Not everybody is that confident that they can do this, and like I just said, that's where these power packs come into play. They are perfect for anybody thinking about kitting out a camper van and they're not 100% confident in their ability to do their own wiring in their van. After all, they are a self-contained unit. Your MPP charge controllers in there. You don't need a DC to DC charge controller because you can simply plug them into your 12 volt cigarette lighter socket on your dashboard, if that's the route you want to go down, and you can run everything in your van off of your power pack, i.e. your fridge, your lights and your ceiling fan. And you can also use them to charge all your auxiliaries as well, such as your mobile phone, your laptops and your cameras, etc. And that's the reason I do accept these power packs from various companies, so that I can do video reviews about them, so that you can make an informed choice on which battery bank is best for you. So going back to Medway Mick's original question, whether or not I think getting a 2 kilowatt battery power pack for a camper van is a good or bad idea, yes, it's definitely a good idea if you haven't got the confidence to do all that wiring yourself. And like I say, that's where I think those power packs do come into play. But which one you buy is purely your choice. Do watch all the video reviews on YouTube. Just bear in mind that everyone that's doing those reviews want to actually sell you that battery bank, and as long as you bear that in mind, you should be able to make an informed decision on which power pack is best for you. I hope that answers that question. I will put a link up here to the playlist of all the battery banks that I have done reviews and experiments with, and I'm still experimenting with the 2 power packs that are under my bed, and I'm still undecided on which one I would actually recommend, if any. Right, well, I hope that answers that question. Let's get on with the next one. Now, unsurprisingly, I've had quite a few questions about the e-bike that I did a video review on a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to answer a couple of those questions, but I do intend to do a dedicated video about that, because I've had some really good questions that the only way to really answer them properly is to have the bike in front of me and go through those questions. But these 2 questions I can actually answer, and the first one comes from Philip Williams. So cool, I want one. Please let us know how you get on charging it up inside your van. What size inverter do you need, etc. Great video as usual. Cheers, Mel. And that comes from Philip Williams. Well, Philip, I charged my e-bike using my Bluetti, unashamedly, which is actually underneath my bed, and I plugged it in one evening, and by the morning it was fully charged, and it used about 20% of the battery capacity in my Bluetti, so it didn't really take a lot to charge the e-bike, so I'm quite happy with that. But so far I've only had to charge the bike twice, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the range that I'm getting from that e-bike. It is quite impressive. So moving on to the next question, I got to ask, was this sent to you for a review, or did you choose it? If you chose it, why this one over all the others out there, please? And that comes from Grumpy Grandpa. Well, Grumpy Grandpa, I did actually choose that bike myself. I was actually looking for a folding e-bike, and the reason I chose the Fido M1 Pro is for 2 reasons really. One, it's got the big fat chunky tyres, purely because I like the look of it, and also because of the bigger motor and the higher top speed. But here's the twist, because I was actually looking at e-bikes, going through all the different makes and models, and I've come across the Fido M1 Pro because it does look strikingly similar to a very expensive folding e-bike with fat tyres, and I was screenshotting the 2 of them and comparing the looks of between the 2. I'm not going to mention the other one. And I actually put the Fido M1 Pro in my shopping basket, and I left it there for a little while because I was thinking, oh, I should or I shouldn't I, and I was a bit undecided whether or not I should actually buy this Fido M1 Pro. And then lo and behold, they sent me an email asking me if I would like a Fido M1 Pro, and in return for doing a video review. And of course I jumped at the chance. So yes, I did actually choose that bike, and at the same time, yes, they did supply it to me free of charge, purely to do a video review. And that's why at the beginning of the video you will see a banner come up on the screen that says this video contains a paid promotion, and that is part of one of the YouTube rules. If you do a video promoting a certain product, you have to put that banner at the top of the video to let your audience know that you are getting paid to make this video. Although they didn't pay me to make the video, they did give me the bike to do the video review, and in return I get to keep that bike, which was an absolute fluke and purely luck on my part, because I was going to actually buy one of those bikes anyway. And I say that to be completely open and honest with you, my audience. Thanks for the great questions. Okay, so something completely unrelated to van life now, and I did promise Rack 6 that I would answer this question, and they ask, what do you look for in a budget wetsuit? Great question. Now, I've had many budget wetsuits in the past, and I would say the 2 important factors about any wetsuit, whether it be budget or a higher end wetsuit like the one I've got, is the zip. Make sure it's got a quality zip on it, and make sure it fits properly. You want your wetsuit to be a nice snug skin fit. You don't want it all loose like this. There has to be good contact between the wetsuit and your skin, and that is to minimize the amount of water that moves through it. After all, it's called a wetsuit because you do get water down the neck. It does fill up with water throughout the body, throughout the arms. You will get wet, but the trick is that once that water's inside the wetsuit, that it stays there, because that water then becomes warm from the heat of your body, and the wetsuit creates a barrier between the warm water within the wetsuit and the cold water of the ocean or the lake, depending on where you are. But that's pretty much how a wetsuit works. It insulates your body by warming up the water that gets inside it, and for that reason you want the wetsuit to be a tighter fit as possible, but not too tight that it's going to stop you from moving around. It's getting that fine balance. And the reason you want a good zip is because the zip is the one place where the water can get into, and the zip on my semi-dry suit is completely waterproof. And the reason I have a semi-dry suit is because it's got a neck seal that seals, wrist seal, ankle seals that actually seal up to really minimise the amount of water that can come in and go out of that wetsuit. It makes a huge difference. And also my semi-dry suit is 7.5mm thick, which allows me to stay in the water for a good couple of hours before I start to feel cold. But to be fair, I get tired before I get cold. I hope that answers that question, and there are some really nice budget wetsuits out there. You don't have to spend hundreds of pounds on a wetsuit. Just make sure you get one that fits nicely, or fits as good as it can, and that will ensure you can spend many hours frolicking in the ocean. Just remember to stay safe. Thanks for the great question. Okay, so another wetsuit scuba diving related question. This comes from Make a Val. I think that's how it's pronounced. Hi Mel, nice video again. Hopefully we get to see better visibility next time. Hey, first attempt and you hit the buck. Well done, thank you. I'm interested in your diving gear, if you can make some recommendations. I tried to source a spear gun online, but they are hard to find. Not sure if it's to do with the legalities of it. Well, I think you'll find getting a spear gun, you'd have to actually go to a dive shop or a fishing shop to actually get one of those. Don't think you'd probably be able to buy a spear gun online. I'd be very surprised if you can. If anyone out there knows that you can buy a spear gun online, then please do leave a comment in the comment section of this video, and I'll pass that information on. To answer the question about my diving gear, now most of my diving gear is Scuba Pro. My wetsuit, my BCD, buoyancy control device, that is also made by Scuba Pro, but my breathing apparatus, my Octopus, that is made by Apex. And the reason I use Apex regulators is because they are cold water regulators, and that minimises the risk of your regulator freezing up because of the moisture in your breath, which is something that does happen. So if you're thinking of diving in the UK, then I highly recommend making sure that any Octopus you buy, any regulators you buy, are designed for cold water use. Very important. But if you want me to do a full in-depth video review about all my scuba diving gear, then please do leave a comment in the comment section of this video, or give this video a thumbs up. And if I get enough thumbs up, I will drag all my scuba diving gear out and I will go through the whole lot for you and tell you exactly what I use and why. Thanks for the great question. Mel, great video. I know you had a bad chest infection way back. Does it restrict the time you can be in the water when diving? That comes from Graham Horton. No, Graham, my chest is perfectly fine now. The only one medical issue, or health related issue I should say, I've got is still my back. My back still does play up every now and again, but it doesn't restrict the amount of time I can spend in the water. The one thing that does restrict the amount of time I can spend in the water is the amount of air that's in my cylinder, but usually I get tired before I run out of air, and as soon as you start feeling fatigued and tired, that's when it's time to get out of the water anyway. But usually I can spend around about 45 minutes to an hour scuba diving quite comfortably. Anywhere past that, then you do start to get a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued, and also my bladder starts to get a bit full, and in that case it's definitely time to get out. Thanks for the great question, and thank you for your concern. I really appreciate it. Now, one of my channel members, Debbie, wants to know how I avoid getting hit by boats when I'm diving. The simple answer to that is I use something called a surface marker buoy. It's like a great big sausage, and it is to let boats know that I'm actually under the water. It's attached to me via a cord, and it floats above me so that other water users know that there's a diver down below, and it is an internationally recognised sign. Also, you can also get like a buoy with a dive flag on it, which does just the same. But for me, I use a surface marker buoy, and that lets all other water users know that I am down below and underwater. You can actually see it because one point in the video I look up and you can see the surface marker buoy above me. Once again, thank you Debbie for your concern, I really do appreciate it. And also thank you for being a member of my channel. Now if you've got any questions like Debbie's, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section of this video, and I'll answer your questions on next week's Waffle on a Wednesday. One other important thing, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, help give my life purpose and meaning, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, ta-ra for now.